welcome to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. Welcome to a show where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, our reach into our community, and of course, our partnerships. We have a partnership, a long-running partnership with KPRC Radios, the High-Tech Texan. And joining me now live for the show, Michael Garfield, the High-Tech Texan himself. Welcome to the show.
Good afternoon, Todd. Hope you're well, and I'm keeping my distance from you and everybody else.
That's right. We're talking about social distancing. It's certainly a new world we're living in right now. Many of us are working remotely, and we're having to work with our business office remotely, work with our teams, and also keep up with our family remotely. And we want to address those things on the show today to give you some ideas. You've already probably been working at home using Zoom or WebEx or even Facebook or FaceTime. Michael, I know you have a few things in mind. Tell us about what type of platforms you're seeing folks using.
Well, there's so many. If you think about it, we have been using these for quite a while. Think about your phone. I mean, if you have an iPhone, you know how to use FaceTime. You've probably heard of Skype. That was an early leader when it comes to video conferencing back in the day. WhatsApp certainly lets you do video. And now on Facebook Video Messenger works well too. These are all great and they're fun. And in the past, we've probably used them really just for personal reasons. I log on and I want to see my son who's away at college. I want to say hi to my parents or something. A lot of us really haven't used them for the business aspects in the past. But guess what? Welcome COVID-19. Really quickly, we are learning to use these for business purposes. And so the ones I listed, the FaceTimes for iPhone, or maybe even the Facebook video messengers, probably not the best ones to use for business aspects because many of them, they're not secure and they don't offer the rich features like a number of the ones that, for example, we're using right now, WebEx, right, where you can share some screens. So there's a number of different types that you can use.
Well, you made something real important there because you can just go on the Facebook and start sharing immediately, and you can, the security especially is a touchy subject because you want to get the information out there, you want to communicate with your family, but when you're dealing with business, security is a big deal.
Security is a very big deal. Hey, listen, if for some reason somebody in your family is sick, maybe they do happen to have COVID-19, and you're talking about this person, you don't want anybody to hack in. You don't want anybody to eavesdrop. Right. And that's just from a personal level. You're probably talking about finances or what's going on, with what's going to happen in the future. But obviously from a business standpoint, I mean, look at HCC right now. You have so many campuses, so many students and your professors, and you have to keep business up. You want to make sure that you have secure details. I mean, everybody probably has, like you, maybe a morning teleconference meeting. Yeah. You're trying to make plans for all the shows. So you want this to be secure. And that's why you're probably going to want to use one of these secure sites. WebEx that, people are looking at right now, it's robust. You look at Zoom. You probably haven't heard of Zoom until about 3 or 4 weeks ago. It's a very, very big one. But the neat thing about it, most of these are free, at least a basic version. And that basic version means go ahead and test it out. You're showing a slide right now of Zoom. Very simple. There's the website. My suggestion is to try a few of these. Now, one of the things that I like about Zoom is because it lets you have massive amounts of people. Right now, if you have the basic version, they're letting you have, I believe, up to 40 minutes at a time. Then again, you can log on and log off. But there's your pro, your business, your enterprise. So you can have thousands of people log on in a secure setting. And Todd, do the same thing. Right now, you're acting as the host of this meeting. You're controlling what we see. So when it comes to online studies, which is perfect for HCC, you as the teacher, professor, you're controlling everything that the students see. You see the students in the boxes at the top or around the sides. You can still control the class.
That's one thing. We talked about this earlier. First off, before people would know a little bit about us, we've known each other for quite some time. I used to work in news, and I think you were working for, was it iHeartMedia back then? Or
I still am. Back in the days of, listen, I actually used to work for Microsoft if you go back to my first technological days. But Microsoft now owns Skype, which is interesting. Yeah. But I still had the long-running radio show, 20 years on KPRC, and I know we did a number of different projects together. But it's funny. You have a long-time media background. I remember watching you back on, what was it, Hits One?
Hits USA. Yeah, that was back in
the fact is, but Todd, the media, when we went to school to learn media, We literally had to schlep those 50-pound cameras. We had to edit the videotape or beta tape back
It's all
then.
in one of these now.
Look what's happening right now. If you watch the local news, you're seeing reporters from home.
Yeah.
You're seeing their backgrounds. You're seeing them live on their iPhones. The scope of media has changed. And I know when I talk to some of your professors at HCC, including the ones with your media studies, they are keeping up with things to the minute right now. And that's the neat thing about studying online. We may want to take this time right now while we're stuck at home to learn a few extra skills.
Yeah. And, you mentioned something real important with the whole media and studying online. I'm looking at, just going back to the media, I'm looking at some of the TV newscasts, and it just blows my mind because, as you said, the anchors are at home right now. They're co-anchors at the studio. They're really practicing the social distance. If you notice some of the live shots, they're set up in random locations to be away from people, to be kind of isolated. So the whole industry, this is, it's a crisis we're in, folks. But keep in mind all the things we're going through because we're watching history happen right now.
Well, we are. It's funny. I had a few hits on Fox 26 this past morning. Let me tell you how quickly things changed. About a week and a half ago, I literally went in studio, like I generally do with some of my interviews, what have you. And I am sitting on the desk 2, 3, 4 feet away from the anchors with the microphone there. That was about a week and a half ago. When I went in about 4 days ago, I am now on a separate studio, standing alone. They're on the desk, and they are using a boom microphone, which is really smart because they don't want to pin a lapel microphone on me because you don't, let's go Rudy Gobert, you don't want to be around microphones. And so when you talk about industry changes, they're happening so quickly, and we just have to be aware of whatever we're doing, especially when you're on a shared computer. If you're on a computer that other people have, you got to make sure that thing is wiped down. I mean, this keyboard, so many germs, and don't even talk about the phone.
You brought up a good thing for cleaning your keyboard. I know you don't want to use just the normal wipes. That's a good point. What would you use to clean your keyboard that you would suggest for them?
And you can get these anywhere. You can go to Amazon, go to Home Depot, but they're very thin. I mean, they're falling everywhere. It's almost like a pocket handkerchief,
right?
But they're very thin microcloths. Never use paper towels. Don't even use a real towel.
Okay.
Because they're very abrasive. So you can use them on your cameras. You can use them on your monitors. But when it comes to your phone, there's a few things. You have your phone, you have this. Now, I have special IT screen cleaner. There's a number of different brands out there. This is specifically, there's no ammonia, and there's not a high percentage of alcohol in there because you don't want to spray Windex directly on these things. Matter of fact, you don't want to send anything directly because as you spray this, look, there's holes for the earpiece, there's holes for the mouthpiece. You don't want it. So what you need to do is you need to take this and you spray it onto the cloth.
Right.
Then you take the cloth and then you wipe it down. But don't forget, you have a dirty case, take the case off, and you can just do the entire thing. Your thumbprint, maybe obviously when you put it up to your face, because if you share the phone, you're those germs too. So you want to carry these things around on a very regular basis. And absolutely the same thing with your keyboard. Look at these keyboards. Keyboards have holes around the keys, every single one around the rest. Same thing. Don't spray directly on there because you will short circuit that keyboard. Spray it on here, wipe it down gently, and you're set to go.
Back to the sharing software that's available right now, like Zoom and other products. WebEx, of course, we pay for. But would you suggest that people try out the free software in certain ones and don't commit to buying a plan? Or if they do buy a plan, what would you suggest as ones that you could invest in, that you would use for
100%,
your family?
100%. You definitely don't want to. There's no need to pay for these things right now because so many of them are free. I logged on and joined Zoom about 2.5 weeks ago, and 2 or 3 times on Zoom, I'm the professor of Zoom. Point is, it's very simple to understand and use. I don't see myself using this thing for more than 40 minutes at a time, and I certainly don't have a plan right now of having 40, 50, 60 people log on at a time. But if I did want to have my own radio show, simultaneous broadcast, I would probably invest, maybe on one of their personal plans, maybe one of their upgrades. They can be as low as $5 to $10 a month.
Yeah.
Once you hit that threshold and it's really working, sure, invest in more. But a lot of worldwide companies with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of employees, they either have their own very expensive internal system, but they're really quickly turning to things like Zoom and WebEx and even Skype for Business, which is actually also Microsoft Teams right now because it's already built in and easily deployable.
I set up my home studio for doing this last week, and let's talk about, because you had brought up a good point, and while you're talking, I'm going to bring up a picture of my home studio, but you had talked last week, lighting's important. What are the important things to make yourself look professional when you're setting up a home studio for live streaming and broadcasting?
Well, number one, you probably should wear an Under Armour polo, black t-shirt. I see what I mean. No, the interesting thing is I've worked from home as an entrepreneur really for almost all my career, but certainly over 20 years. This is my home studio right now. And you see all these reporters and people logging in, and there's generally a bookcase behind them. They've got all these crazy books. That's fine if you read books. Take a look at your bookcase before you log on, because you may have some books that the spines, you don't want people to see what you're reading, be it political, be it something. Mind your background is what I'm going with. You don't want kids running in the back. I don't know. I thought maybe I saw a dog back behind you too.
Got a couple of
but you want to make sure you don't want motion behind you, because that's going to take away from the focus of you or your face, and especially if you are a host. I see your setup there now, Todd. Point out the lights. Lighting is so key, it's not even funny. You never want to be very low lit. You've got 2 lights and a key light, without getting too RTF technical on over here. But that's what makes you, number one, very simple and easy to see, especially as the bandwidth maybe gets slower and slower. So lighting is very good too. Also audio. Now, right now I'm using audio directly through my computer. You also see people using their AirPods or EarPods. That's just as fine, as long as you test them out. Test everything out before you actually log on. You've got a microphone too.
Yeah.
But test everything. Yeah, I would say log on with a friend, log on with one of your kids or something before you actually, go live, to make sure everything works. But be very mindful of what's behind you, and certainly lighting is key.
Another thing too, which we kind of touched on earlier, and I've been working with my team across the Houston area and beyond, and we're making sure that we have face-to-face contact through the system at least once a day. So I've set up meetings at 11 a.m. daily, so everyone can kind of check in, because I think it's important to get across to people. It's so easy during these times to get isolated and fall into trouble.
It's very much, and think of it as an office setting. I told you I'm kind of an entrepreneur. When I actually do have an office, I go into the Galleria area in Houston. We do have our radio station office with iHeartMedia. And sometimes I find myself not going into the office for a week and a half. And at the end of the day, that hurts me, because, your coworkers, they forget about you. You're not an integral part of this thing. So think of your daily routine and try to keep it as steady as possible. If you, come in at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock in the morning, grab a cup of coffee, go to your buddy's cubicle or something. Same thing. Maybe check in with him or her before, on a one-to-one conference call before you actually log on to the massive conference call. I like what you're doing by keeping that daily meeting, be it 11 o'clock, maybe do one in the morning, maybe do one in the afternoon. The neat thing are those collaborative tools. The fact is that you can share those screens. You look at Microsoft and Microsoft Teams, it's what it's called. Our radio station office, we use Office 365, Microsoft Teams. So if we have a spreadsheet, one person could be showing that spreadsheet. I also could be changing that spreadsheet in real time right now. So if you're using collaborative tools, figure out how to use them online, because at the end of the day, when we get through this, the virus is gonzo, this is a good skill set that actually can help sell you to even better jobs.
Yeah, I think we're all learning new skills that are going to benefit us in the future. And I think the way we're working and delivering education is certainly changing for us. I'm going to ask you this question. Before all this came about, were you that familiar with Zoom and all these online meeting tools? Were you kind of thrown into it? I know you probably had some knowledge of them, but it seems like we're all thrown into this right now.
No, obviously it's my job as to cover technology. I was very familiar, again, going back from Skype and also living, my parents live up in the Dallas area. I got my oldest son, he's living in California. I've got one, up in Austin, It's good to be able to communicate via video conference. Yeah, I've used WhatsApp, mostly Facebook messengers, mostly on a one-to-one basis. Very familiar with Skype for business. WebEx has been around for quite a while, but you're seeing something like I was not familiar with Zoom. But Zoom has been around for several years. It's used a lot in the corporate world. And you know what? Give it another week. There's another company or two that will be launching itself. This is a space right now that's very important, and we're seeing more and more people use it. I'm not going to ever tell you what to do with companies or stocks because that's not my expertise. But I think people can see trends of what's going to be the future of things to come, the way we're going to do our lives, thanks to this paradigm shift. And I think video conferencing may be one of them.
You know, I've got some quick questions I'm going to ask you. I've got some guests that I bring on my shows, and I ask them a couple of questions that are standard for all of them. So I'm going to throw a few of them at you. A few of them are fun. So you ready for the first one?
Let's go. Let's go. Timer's on.
Favorite go-to for takeout right now during this crisis?
Go-to for takeout right now? Well, I got two boys living with me right now, so I have them cook for me all the time.
There you go.
There is, it's funny because I've been doing this kind of web series where I'm actually promoting local restaurants and retailers because to help the wait staff. And so every night we've actually been going out, either picking up or getting delivery from almost every restaurant. But in terms of the Houston, my go-to place, and I don't know if they're delivering, is Chacho's. If you guys are familiar with the 24/7 service of Chacho's, I go to the one on Westheimer. I just wish they'd deliver. So until that curfew hits, I hope it's an essential because I need my Chacho's.
Well, I'm sure they had to, before this hit, they had to close down their salsa bar. And that was the big thing at Chacho's for me was that's.
I know. I open that, please.
I know. One final question. What's the best song to put you in a good mood when you're stressed out from this crisis?
You know what? You and I are made from the same cloth. We are the kings of the 80s. Go back to the 80s. And so I'll go back to the New Edition, Candy Girl. I need something with hip hop. I want vibe. It's actually, we're both runners, Todd. And, one of my go-to songs when I'm, hitting the wall or something, I have a special button. It's my go-to song. Generally, it's one of the songs, maybe, some Michael Jackson also, want to be starting something. I need fast rhythm. But music is this very soothing thing.
What
A
is?
big part of my show is bump music. And so if all else fails, turn the TV off. Go to your music category and just play something. Close your eyes, and it's going to take you back to that childhood like we did.
I know. About 5 years ago, I invested into a brand new turntable. So I've got a system, and I bought albums, which they make new again these days, and listened to the whole album.
Cool.
Loving it. So Michael Garfield from the High-Tech Texan. Yeah, Michael Garfield, High-Tech Texan, thanks for joining us. I know your show is live 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. every Saturday.
Every Saturday on KPRC 9:50 a.m. Very proud to have the longest running show on this heritage radio station. And plus also, here's the new way to do it. You use the iHeartRadio app. You can listen to it wherever you are around the world. So such is changing technology.
That's right. And listen for HCC guests on the show as well. I know we'll be in touch later this week, and that's another way we help keep the community informed. Michael, next time we get you on, I want to talk about streaming services and new things that people can stream out there, because I know a lot of them are like offering free services, specials, $5.99 a month, stuff like that. So we're going to get you on the next couple of days, and I want to talk all about streaming and how people can entertain themselves.
Happy to. There's so many. We can fill up an entire 2 or 3 hours. Let's just have some fun. And everybody, just be safe out there. Stay inside and use video conferencing.
Thank you, Michael, for joining us. And thank you for joining us on the topic. Hope you've had a great time with this show. Make sure you share this show. And we're going to be posting this show across social media, YouTube, and everywhere later on in the day. Thank you for joining me on the topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. I'll see you next time.